Good morning, Knicks Nation. Today is Tuesday, the third day of January. It is now 2023. I hope you had a good holiday. I hope you were safe and your family was safe and everybody enjoyed themselves and that the needs of you and your family in terms of food, shelter, clothing, as well as health were all being met. Blessings upon those that work in the healthcare field, along with the first responders who every day are trying to save lives, especially on holidays like New Year's. Blessings upon those that pick up garbage, who are the post cleanup people from parties, from New Year's and things that keep streets and sidewalks and highways and parks clean. And those also that make deliveries of food and water and important things like mail for our convenience. Double blessings on the men and women that are out here trying to help rescue, recover the victims of child molestation and pedophilia that are teenagers and children. The victims also of pornography and child pornography. The victims of prostitution and child prostitution. The victims of sex trafficking and human trafficking and sex slavery. Curses upon the perpetrators of these things. Curses upon the profiteers from these things. Curses upon the perverts that create the market for these things. Finally, blessings upon the homeless. There are nearly 600,000 men, women, and mostly children that are on the streets of the United States of America, and millions around the world in similar or worse conditions. Blessings upon, for theirs is the kingdom. Yesterday afternoon, there was a basketball game at Madison Square Garden. The New York Knicks soundly defeated the Phoenix Suns, routed the Phoenix Suns 102-83. This was an impressive win, even though Phoenix was without its best player in Devin Booker. And the New York Knicks did play without R.J. Barrett. But the thing that was impressive to me, and to give you an indication of how impressive this win was yesterday, I was expecting it to be definitely to be a close game because of the shooting that the Phoenix Suns present. And as a matter of fact, just the game before that, I think they shot 48% from three against somebody. So they present problems because they play great defense and they shoot the ball extremely well. And Chris Paul is still their point guard. And so I anticipated a close game. Chris Paul usually plays big in the Garden, and as does Mikal Bridges, and as does Cameron Payne, but none of them were a factor yesterday. An indication of how decisive this win was and how impressive this win was. The Knicks held the Phoenix Suns to 11 points in the first quarter. Now generally speaking, for me, the measurement of the first quarter and the first half is 60 points. If you're a scorer, if you're the Knicks, you want to score 30 points in the first quarter and hold your opponent under 30, and 60 points at a half and hold your opponent under 60. That's generally, to me, a sign that you're playing decent defense and you're scoring at a good clip. Well, the Knicks did not score 30 points in the first quarter. They scored 23. But Phoenix only scored 11. And some people want to yell about what's an excuse versus what's a reason. Every NBA team goes through tired legs during the course of a season. Every of the 30 teams. Everybody does. More than once. Okay? It's not just rookies that hit a wall. The season is a marathon. So with that in mind, there's times where you're going to feel like you're hitting a wall. And as teams, especially when you got a bunch of games, say 3 games in 4 nights or 4 games in 5 nights, which happens to every team. And then you got back-to-backs, of which the Knicks seem to have, I think they have the 5th most in the league. All of that plays. And so that's why I say on any given night, any NBA team could beat any other NBA team depending on where they are in their schedule, where they are in their fatigue factors, and of course there's the injuries. So, but even when you have tired legs, even when your team is at that low during the course of a season, usually you come out in the first quarter with the energy. Usually the energy that if you have any, it's in the first quarter. And so and then during the course of a game, the team with the better energy will wear down the team with lack of energy. That's what happened to the Knicks against San Antonio. This Phoenix Suns, though, they looked tired. But the first quarter is usually a good quarter, or at least an energetic quarter for all of them. To hold them to 11 points, a team like this, which this is very impressive. The Knicks did a tremendous job, and what I'm overall, and many people still don't get this, but especially for Tom Thibodeau, he takes 30 games to find out what his rotation really is, what he feels comfortable with, who he trusts, who can execute what he wants to get done. And for the Knicks, especially, this manifests itself on the defensive end. Okay, it takes them time to get into his schemes, and then for him to figure out who he wants. Now we know there was a big change, 15 games ago, where he benched, that is, Tibbs benched Cam Reddish, he benched Evan Fournier, and he benched Derrick Rose. And we know the Knicks went on an 8-game winning streak immediately after he did that. It was followed by a 5-game losing streak in which there was injuries. Okay, there was injuries to R.J. Barrett. There were injuries to Obi Toppin, two people in the rotation, and then Tibbs moves Derrick Rose up, just Derrick Rose, and he plays Jericho Sims a lot more than he had. And they still lost 5 games in a row. So then he started playing a little Evan Fournier. Then they started scoring a little bit more. It was still, at first it was disastrous, but then it started coming. So now he plays Evan Fournier and Derrick Rose with Jericho Sims. Now, that has produced decent results. Now, yesterday, he played 8 guys, but Sims played 9 minutes, but he played 8 guys. He played the starters. He played Hartenstein, McBride, 18 minutes, Fournier, 14 minutes, Grimes, 36, Quickly, 36, Brunson, 39, Robinson played 35, and of course, Julius Randle, he plays 40. There's no R.J. Barrett again. There's no Obi Toppin. And so he's been trying to focus on the defensive end. And so the Knicks yesterday were clicking. That was the second game they did that. In fact, they've won 2 straight now. So that's the second game they've been clicking. And we had missed Brunson also. Brunson had missed at least 3 games. So because of that, it was a lot of adjustments. Again, but every NBA team, and a lot of people don't understand, they try to act like the Knicks are better or worse than a lot of NBA teams. In a lot of areas, they're just like everybody else. No different. That it goes from 9-man rotations to whatever. Okay? So, like a lot of NBA teams, missing Brunson, they had to make adjustments. Quickly did more than fill in. He was doing very well at the point guard spot for the Knicks. But, again, it was people getting used to minutes. It was going through that part of the season where there's that lull. I still, and I talked about and I anticipate the Knicks will get better. They're still a work in progress, and they're still improving. We haven't seen the best of them this season. They're going to get better. We haven't seen the best of Quentin Grimes. We haven't seen the best of the Deuce, Grimes, Robinson trio as a defensive unit. We haven't seen the best of them yet. We haven't seen the best, actually, of Brunson yet. And the reason I say that is because he was so banged up earlier in the season. And yesterday, I feel like one of the factors in him playing was the fact that Derrick Rose was a scratch yesterday, which I don't know if anybody anticipated that. Tibbs said that he hurt himself in the previous game, bumped knees with somebody, but he didn't know if it was going to cause him to miss the game yesterday, which he did. So I'm thinking Brunson might have sat yesterday if Derrick Rose was available, but Derrick Rose wasn't. So I'm hoping that by Wednesday we get a fully healthy Brunson, because you're going to have Brunson needed time. You're going to have some time between the beginning of the season and now for Brunson to get used to running the Knicks as a point guard. Okay, he's new to all of these guys. He's new to Madison Square Garden in terms of running the show. But at this point in the season, like where we're at right now, with 38 games going into our 40th game this week, we have San Antonio and then at Toronto on Friday. So you have 40 games. Now he is, to me, getting acclimated to running the Knicks. But now it'd be good if he can get fully healthy. and run the Knicks because he landed on his arm one day. He had his ankle sprained a couple of times. He had his foot messed up, and then of course he's been out with a sore hip for the last 3 games. So it'd be good that he gets time to heal. Will he be fully healed? I don't know, but I'm hoping if we can get at least 90% of Jalen Brunson's fully healed, I think we'd be in good shape. And so yesterday he played 39 minutes. He scored 24. He was really good yesterday. He only had 2 turnovers, 6 assists, 4 boards. I mean, he didn't shoot the ball great. It's from 3 he did. He was 2 of 3 from the line though. Brunson is like a 90% shooter from the line. He shot 6 of 11, which is horrible for him. For him, that's horrible. See, so he's usually a much better foul shooter. So I think he was a little off yesterday. I anticipate he's going to sharpen up. And that's going to be key because Brunson's acquisition has helped the Knicks in way more areas than I even anticipated. I was lukewarm on them going to get Brunson. I thought we should hand those keys to Emmanuel Quickly and Deuce McBride. And let's go from there. But it was apparent later that we all now know that not only Tibbs, not only Leon Rose, not only Worldwide West, all of them wanted Brunson. They were looking at Brunson. And when Dallas offered him $55 million and then he said no, then they didn't, I think they waited to offer him that. Then he said no. It was open now that he was going to be on the market. And the Knicks offered him 104, and the rumors were all along that he was looking for at least 80, which I wasn't into. Honestly, I wasn't into paying Jalen Brunson $80 million. But the Knicks gave him 104. Now, between getting the 104 million and my saying no to him, in the playoffs against this Phoenix team, he dropped 40. And they eliminated Phoenix from the playoffs before they got eliminated by the Golden State Warriors in the Western Conference Finals, right? And so he won me over with that. When he dropped, to me, if you drop 40 in an NBA playoff game, especially like a semi-conference finals, you could play, okay? You could play. And he won me over there. So I was still a little nervous about him getting 104, a little concerned. But he's been proven now to be a steal for $104 million. Because, what do I say? His leadership, we knew he had it, but he's demonstrating that. His camaraderie with the team is excellent. And especially, to me, his effect on Julius Randle. His effect on Julius Randle, to me, is one of the reasons that Julius Randle is playing at an all-star level, all-NBA level. The effect of having a real point guard that controls everything. It's a leader. And he of course can attack also and score. So all of that really takes burden off of Randle. And Randle doesn't feel like he has to try to go 1 against 2 or spin away from things and into double teams and so on and so forth. He's tremendously better. I mean, Randle only had 1 turnover yesterday in 40 minutes. That's just to show you, to me, the effect of Jalen Brunson. And then when Brunson was hurt, because Randle is now playing ball this way, he kept playing that way. There was only 1 game where he really, was a little off of it. That was the San Antonio game. And again, I think fatigue played a lot factor in all the Knicks that day. And that's the exception. He's been playing just steady Eddie, being ready for the whole season. And yesterday, 28 points, 16 boards, 6 assists, 1 steal. He's been giving effort on the defensive end more consistently. And I love how he is now, when he gets double teamed, it's almost like the Knicks it's almost like a trap. So the Knicks allow Randle gets double teamed in the corner. And then he has 2 options. He could have more than that, but he has 2 options. He can throw it to somebody at the top of the key or make a cross-court pass to somebody at the 3-point line, usually Grimes, or Fournier, and they got an open 3. And he's been making that pass very consistently this season. And he takes his time. Like before, he gets flustered and he'll throw it away. And sometimes he still does, but most times now, he's waiting, he's being patient, and he's waiting, And then he's seeing, because if you're double team, if you're the opposing team and you're doubling one player, that means you now have three guys that have to guard four guys. And Tibbs is always saying that. So somebody's open. So he's waiting to see who gets in position, and he's getting the basketball. Now, to me, the improvement in that area, which I know is coming, is the Knicks have to learn to cut toward him. You get guys standing at those two spots, but somebody has to cut toward him. A couple of times they did it. I've seen it, a couple players do it, but they got to do it consistently to give him an angle to get them the ball. When he does that, when they do that, and they do it consistently, that's what I'm saying. You haven't seen the best yet, because they're improving. See? And what a lot of people don't understand, and I wish people would, you guys don't know that Tom Thibodeau and his staff watch these guys every day. Every day. They're watching them in practice. Every day they're poring over film. Okay? And to me, it's almost disrespectful for people to criticize a coach that's doing that and you just watching them from TV. To me, it's disrespectful, because this guy has a long-term track record of winning. He hasn't won a chip yet, but most coaches haven't won one yet. And it takes more than coaching to win a championship. So I feel like it's disrespectful, but I can see the improvements. They take place over time, and they take place slowly. And Tom adjusts over time, and he adjusts slowly. He doesn't make quick snap judgments. Say, put this one in there real quick. No, he doesn't do it that way. It's slow, and he's patient with it, really. So now, the way the defense is now, my concerns are, see, McBride played 18 minutes after playing, more than 35 during the 5 games, including the win they had last Saturday night. He played 18 yesterday, and the Knicks won. I'd like to make sure he gets 20, because to me, when McBride gets 20 and it's him, Robinson, and Grimes out there, there's a high probability that the Knicks are going to win the game, because the defense is going to be excellent, as it was yesterday. So now the defense is now turned up a notch. And that's why you see games where they'll hold the Phoenix Suns to 83 points, but then they'll give up 125. That's a function of, as I mentioned, there's various things that's going on during the course of a season. There's the fatigue factor, the travel factor, the injury factor. Then there's also Tibbs trying to get his lineup, his rotation, the way he wants it. Now, once RJ and Obi Toppin return, if we don't see any more injuries, you're going to see a steady 9-man rotation, which will have, it's going to have probably Hartenstein. It'd rather be Sims, but at this point, it'll probably be Hartenstein, McBride, Emmanuel Quickly, and Deuce and Obi Toppin. It'll be those 4, plus your starters, Grimes, RJ, Brunson, Robinson, and Randle. And I think that's going to be a good team. And I think they're going to be better than they are now. And I think they're going to win at least 45 games. And so I like what we're going right now. Again, the season is filled with ups and downs. That's why you don't see me get too high on a winning streak or too low when they're losing. I'm always, when people are trying to do things in the dramatic, well, he needs to play this guy and he needs to trade this and we need to fire him. That's fandom being fanatical, and that's cool, because that's why we're fans, right? But at the same time, if you want to win long term, you cannot act like that. You have to be more precise, steady, long term. Okay? And that's what the Knicks are right now. And so I don't anticipate them trading Julius Randle this season. If anything, it'll happen in the summer if they're going to do it. Like I said, I mentioned Kristaps Porzingis. I know it sounds crazy, but you know what? I've said things before that sound crazy that came to pass later. See? But people forget that. But it's all good. I'm just watching it. And the reason I am is because I want to see how happy Julius is at the end of the season, how happy the Knicks are, and how that marriage right now is all smiles, right? It's all happy. But we've seen it the opposite too. If Julius is all NBA this year, he's probably staying, okay? But the thing is, if you want a superstar to come to New York, you're going to have to give something up. You got to give up stuff. There's no real free agent superstars that we really would fit with us, but it's coming this summer. But if somebody wants to leave, like I wouldn't trade Quentin Grimes to get Zach LaVine. I would not do it. Okay, period. End of story. I'm not no, period. So stuff like that. You're not gonna get that. But a superstar, like somebody that can make us Eastern Conference Finals, like like I said, I mentioned top flight guys, the Joker, Embiid, Antetokounmpo. Somebody that when they come on your team, Kevin Durant, somebody when they come on your team is now in the conversation for Eastern Conference Finals. Okay, those guys do it. There's other guys, but that's the idea. If it's not one of those type of guys, I'm not looking. Okay, the next group, the next crop of real superstars that could be available to me is in 2 seasons when some of these younger guys develop fully into what they're going to be and some of them become the superstars. Okay, right now, to me, the best candidate that could change his mind is young enough to change his mind, talented enough to take you to the Eastern Conference Finals. But he's happy right now. Luka Doncic. Luka's happy, but Luka's young. And this is one of those situations where Luka holds all the cards all the time, just like LeBron. He's in that category because he holds all the cards. He's young enough. He's a savant. So maybe next year, the year, I don't know. Somebody's going to be unhappy. But that's what I'm talking about in terms of a free agent. And you be willing to give up stuff. Like I was saying yesterday, the package that was rumored that the Knicks were talking about offering all these picks and all these players for Donovan Mitchell, which I don't know if it's true or not because it didn't happen. But that's the type of package I would definitely offer for Luka. I give them 3 of our good guys. I give them 4 or 5 unprotected. And give me Luka, because you get Luka with what we got left, and he'll take us to the Eastern Conference Finals. Okay, that's how good this kid is. So, in my view, if it's not that, I don't want to talk about it. I'm just saying. And if I'm Scott Perry and Leon Rose, that's what I'm feeling about. If you're not talking big time, we don't need to discuss it because right now we just need to continue on the projection that we're doing and keep these young kids getting better. And they ain't reached the ceiling. Like I said, Robinson hasn't reached his ceiling. Quickly hasn't reached his ceiling. Grimes hasn't reached his ceiling. RJ hasn't reached his ceiling. McBride hasn't reached his ceiling. Obi Toppin hasn't reached his ceiling. All of them have upside, which means all of them can become better than what we're seeing right now. As long as you have that, you keep going, okay, unless you get a superstar. And so that's what I'm anticipating them doing. Now, the next game we'll talk about tomorrow is against San Antonio. The Knicks should be looking for revenge. I believe they will be. They should have Jalen Brunson back. Now it's San Antonio's turn to come in from the road and be tired. And so I'm anticipating a good night for the Knicks. Let's see what happens, but we'll talk more about that tomorrow. But for now, the Knicks have won 2 in a row. They're 20-18. They're 7th right now in the East. The East is going to be a dogfight. There's going to be a lot of jockeying for position, especially in the 4 to 8 range. The top 3 are going to be the top 3, even though even now I'm seeing a little slippage in the top 3. So in the Eastern Conference, so you're going to, like I said, it's an ebb and flow marathon season. There's going to be ups and downs. You're going to see people jockeying for position. People come from the bottom to the top. People come from the top back to the pack. You're going to see that. And so the Knicks is I feel like we're in a very good spot right now. They're playing. They're going to be. They're playing improving, progressive basketball. They're progressing. As the season goes on. And so, like I said, when they get their guys back, I'm hoping RJ is back for the Toronto game. And we got Brunson back, as you can see. Hopefully he's still good to go Wednesday. So we get those 2 back. We're in good shape. And then we move forward. We get Obi Toppin back at some point. We'll be going forward. So I like the way this is looking right now. Like I said, Julius Randle, his mindset and the way he's playing right now, that's really big time for the Knicks. So, and then, of course, Mitchell Robinson, he took Aiton's lunch yesterday. Again. He took Aiton's lunch yesterday. Again. It wasn't the first time. Okay? we owed Phoenix this behind whooping because Julius kind of last year wasn't in the same mind frame he is this year, and he kind of cost us the Phoenix game with Cam Johnson going off last year and ruined a tremendous game for Mitchell Robinson. And then, of course, this year we lost earlier to him as well. So we owed them this banking we gave him yesterday, and I'm glad they did. But Mitch Rob, yeah, he's all that. That's our dude. And so, yeah, here we go. So Wednesday night at the Garden against San Antonio. Let's see what happens. Enjoy your Tuesday. Shalom.